Hello, chat. Today we're going to be talking about children. I did get interested into the subject because I'm expecting my own child to spawn in I think it's like 2 months now or three. Um, and due to that, I'm actually interested in parenting, because it's not enough just to spawn it. You gotta actually raise it. And it's interesting to read about how to properly raise one, as well as like what's happening in the West and why people choose not to have
La KFC Smart
the
Menu
children.
Kutoche.
So, I actually saw this. This is something fascinating. It's from the United States. And I gotta say, like, this mental retardation actually hit my country as well. And it also is hitting the United States hard. Like, if you look at TikTok, you see various teachers that are well versed in the LGBTs. They got like all this rainbow colored hair. But they actually do give like some level of shit about educating kids. And they're complaining. It's like, well, especially after the pandemic, most kids don't even know how to read and write. They don't know how to do math. They do know the LGBTs, so that's good, right? Like, that is... at least you send your kid to school in order to learn the very essentials on how to be a good, decent human being, which is the LGBTs. But the ABCs, not so much, right? And there's several reasons for it. One of the reasons is social contagion. Social contagion was something that a teacher discovered on Reddit. Basically pointed out how in his class he's got 3 unruly kids. Like 3 kids that generally don't want to learn, right? So the moment those 3 kids happened to synchronize one day and they all missed school, they got sick or some shit, all the other kids behaved. And this is something that I know. Like, when I was a kid, yeah, like, if you're in the class and you have, like, the shit flinger, the clown of the class, like, he gets all the other kids to be unruly. That's called social contagion. So if you don't fix the social contagion, well, you're going to get an entire class of unruly kids, and it doesn't really matter how good the teachers are. It doesn't matter, like, if he is the best mathematician on earth. As long as the kids aren't interested in listening and they're taking the piss, they're not going to study. And I don't think, like, America even has a system to deal with unruly kids. Like, if you have a child that generally doesn't want to learn, he just doesn't give a fuck, like, what do you do? Now, the Soviet Union did have a system. Like, in my day, there was a system. What's called a whooping. That's actually something that you'd see in Dead Poets Society. Last time I said it on my channel, people from the Anglosphere freaked out. It's like, oh my god, whooping. Oh, so barbaric. Oh, la, la, la. It's not what you think. It's not like, they would get the whip and go whoop. No, in my class, like, the teacher had a ruler, a paddle, and it would ask you to hold your hand up, and it was like slapping you on the hand. Didn't leave any damages, but it was very embarrassing, and it was also a little bit painful. So, if you misbehave to the point of that, well, when you went and you told your parents, you'd get a whooping from them. They don't do that in America nowadays. Nowadays, they call the cops. I keep saying about this. There was an incident where a student bit a teacher. What do you mean, like, bit a teacher? Like, with their teeth. Like, what do you do then? Well, they called the cops, and the cops went in, arrested the 9-year-old, looked really great on cameras. But anyway, right, like, that's the American system. The thing is, like, the students are failing quite badly. But that's okay. I mean, you got, like, all these diversity initiatives. We lower the standards. Like, the standards can always be lowered even more. I'm sure that's not going to have any repercussions on the long run. The main problem, however, is, like, how do you sweep it under the rug? How do you hide the fact that students are failing? And you lower the grading scale. Now, as you can see here, I really hate the American system with A, B, C, D, F. In my country, and I think, like, this is how the standard should be around the world, we don't use A, B, C, D, F. We just use the percentages. Right? You get, like, 100%, which is a 10. You just remove 1 decimal. 1 decimal. So it's like 10 is for perfect, and then you have like all the others, right? Like, why would you even have A, B, C, D, F? It's so fucking confusing. I don't get it. Whoever came up with the idea is a dumbass. Yeah. But anyway, right? So, my parents told me, because I asked my parents when I was in first grade, I remember. It's like, what is the good grade? Like, how much do I need to get in order for it to be good? And my parents said 7, so like 70%. Anything below that is unacceptable. And 7 was also like a little bit upsetting. It's like, why did you get a 7? But still, it was like passable. It's understandable. Anything less than a 7 was not good. And anything below a 5 means that you repeat the class. Right? So now you have this situation in America where you can get a 4 and you can still pass. It's like, what the fuck is that? Like, where is the natural selection? Like, if I can get a 4 and still pass, I mean, holy shit. I'm thinking about the university. If you have a doctor that actually gets straight 4s, you don't want him to operate on you. You don't want him to perform surgery on you. No way. To get a 4 in med school wasn't that fucking hard. It's like you just went to class, but you didn't study. Holy shit! This is very concerning. This is just wow. The thing is, like, you are going to eventually notice the repercussions of this line of thinking. You are going to. I mean, these people are going to become your plane pilots. They're going to become your doctors, your surgeons, right? Some of them will become your politicians, but that's not that bad, because like a politician, all you need to do is read from a prompter. American Outlier, thank you for the $10. Hi V, hope all is well. Let me, my grandma or grandpa found out I brought home a C on my report card. Regardless how people feel, my grandparents gave a damn about me and wanted me to do well in school. Yeah, well, apparently the people who are making these grades don't want to. So like a C, I assume that back in your time, a C wasn't 64%. A C was probably less. By the way, like this grading system is so fucked up. I gotta say, I really hate it. I'm so glad my country doesn't use it. So like, there's no difference between 44 and 64. Like, if you have a student that basically fails and gets like a 44, and you get like a 64, there's no difference between you and him. And look at this shit. Now I just noticed it, right? So F for fail is 24%. Motherfucker, like, there's no fucking way. I can cheat a little bit. You know, you're in class and you look, like, at a paper, you look towards a colleague or someone whispers to you the answer, you will get more than 24. You will get that fucking D. Like in order to fail, you gotta try. You really have to struggle in order to fail under this system. Look at this, 24%. Holy shit. Do you get like 10% from the get-go? Because that's how it works in Romania. Like, when you start the test, you get like 10%. Just like, that is the extra. You just get it by showing up. If you show up, you get 10%. Is that like, or can you get like a 0? Because the reason for it is we do the average, and if you have like a 0, then when you do the average, it really fucks it up. So, oh my fucking god, it's just like, holy shit. D is not a fail. It's not a fail from what I know. It's only an F. Like, that's why it's called F, because you fail. Like, literally, you can gamble and not fail at this point. The only way you can get an F, I think, is only if you write your name on the paper. That's it. And you actually don't write anything. We also see the decline in our presidents, from geniuses like Thomas Jefferson and John Quincy Adams to people like Trump and Biden. Well, the thing is, like, with your old presidents, they were actually statesmen. Nowadays, a politician has like a team of PR experts. And they're basically schooling the president, and they're telling him everything they need to talk and say. Like, they got a team of specialists that are training. To compare a modern day politician, and it's not just Thomas Jefferson It's all the old politicians, as well as to compare someone like Trump or Biden with anyone from the past. Like, no, we do not have statesmen today. Like, such a thing doesn't exist. Under 50% was a fail. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. Same here, right? Like, you need to at least know half in order to pass. But I think, like, the school system is not interested in training workers, right? Like, what's the point in graduating a school nowadays when you go to university and they care about your stock, right? Like, you care about who your family is, and then when you actually go to the workplace, they're hiring immigrants. So, you know, like, the school system is probably more like a formality, at least the public school. Like, you need to be very lucky in America nowadays to actually finish public school and land a fucking job. I'm not really surprised, right? So at least it's the teachers to say, oh, well, we did a good job. Look how many A's we got. To grade the system from 0 to 100 completely ignores why these systems were intended. No, like, they did this in Romania as well. I think it's for the first 4 grades. They do not grade you with 1 to 10. They grade you with, you done good, you done very good, you done excellent, and it's insufficient. Insufficient means that you failed. And all of this is to protect the feelings of the child. And it really pisses me off, like, this mentality to protect the feelings of the child. No, the child needs to experience all range of emotions, including failure. Like, teaching your kid failure is actually very important for him to grow up healthy, because when he grows up, he will experience failure. Otherwise, he's going to be a narcissistic twat. You don't want your kid to be a narcissistic twat. You don't want the other extreme either, where he thinks that everything he will do is going to end up in failure. Which is why, like, a child is to experience the entire fucking range of emotions. Not just, oh, everything is excellent, everything is fine, you're the center of the fucking universe. Please don't get upset. Versus nothing you do is ever going to amount to something. You know, like, you don't want your kid to know despair, but you don't want your kid to think that nothing he does can end up in failure either. American Outlier is going to talk about the Department of Education was founded by Jimmy Carter and Reagan. Was supposed to shut it down, but when he left, the Office of Department of Education was 8 times bigger than when it was established. Again, the long march in education. Yeah. Like, everything that the Americans did with the Department of Education just shows a massive failure in the academic prestige of the U.S. Every single fucking time the government is involved, it ends up with things worse than before. Now I want to show you something that I read on Twitter, and it's actually very true. This one actually got to me because it's got to do with the psychology, man. Like, I'm telling you, before psychology, before the Germans, I think the Germans invented, right, with Jung and Freud. People used to go to religious teachers. They would go to their priests. They would go to, like, their community leaders for help and guidance. They would go to their family. However, now they go to a psychologist. And a psychologist is interested in taking away your cash. That's it. They're not interested in actually helping you. In fact, they even say that your psychology sessions aren't for healing or anything like that. It's a process. In other words, they're there to listen to you for 2 hours and then send you back so you can come later. And this is the interesting thing, right? So, this culture can drive me nuts. It is blind to the idea that kids can, and in recent history, have done some things on their own without any parents to be involved, and this was good. So, one screen time specialist. What the fuck is a screen time specialist? They have specialists in America for everything. Just emailed me with this helpful tip. Have families come up with non-screen activities? So I asked, like, what? Her reply, together plan a trip to a science museum and look up the exhibits you want to see. And, you know, like, I also found it cringe when I was reading it, and I couldn't articulate why, but luckily Lemor Skenazi articulated it perfectly. There is simply no notion of the idea that kids can or should spend any time not doing something educational. And this is also like the morality of most grown-up Americans that I interact with. They're like, oh, video games are a waste of time. Oh, movies are a waste of... Oh, this is a waste of time. And it's like, well, what fucking hobbies should I fucking have then? Hunting and fishing? The Matt Walsh experience? Because you go to Matt Walsh and literally, if it's anything besides hunting or fishing or Jesus, it's outside of his realm of expertise and it's foreign and it must be satanic. And it's like the same shit that they're applying to kids. Everything you need to do is it needs to be toiling the earth and suffering. And it's like, well, hold on a little bit. You know, like not everything a child does should be educational. Sometimes maybe he needs to go out and play with the worms in the dirt. How about that? Like, it's fine for kids to have some time for themselves and actually go and explore and do shit that has nothing to do with education and is just free time. And without parent involvement as well. I know this is shocking. You know, the helicopter parenting thing, also a bad idea. As we get to see here, this parent is also upset. Her idea works one time for one afternoon, making it seem as any non-screen time requires D-Day-like planning and money. The parent now has a new duty, which is to help organize an outing and then accompany their kid on it with snacks. Not to mention kids have entertainment themselves for... And this is the truth, right? Because like the reason I'm spurging out about it is that I remember how I was when I was a kid. And since I think that I ended up pretty well, I think like the way I grew up is probably a good thing. Without any psychologist or anything. Like my parents just allowed me to play outside. I know, a bizarre concept. Truth be told, I didn't live in fucking San Francisco or Chicago, right? Like if I was in Chicago and my parents would allow me to play outside, that would probably be parental abuse, right? So it depends where you live. I gotta point this out, right? Like, it depends the area where you're in. If your area is Chicago or New York, maybe it's best that you just install Stellar Blade for your kid and let him play at home, you know? Like maybe in some situations where things are desperate, you live in Chicago, you know, the Democrats have casted their magic upon your city, then maybe it's good to stay in-house. But other than that, you know, like, if we're talking about the normal functioning city outside of the dominion of Joe Biden, then allowing the kids to actually just go outside and play is good. It's good. It's like my parents, you know, they had no idea of what we're doing except like, okay, well, these are my circle of friends, and we're out playing. You know, we're playing ball or whatever. I come back home, that's fine. Sometimes I came back home hurt. Yeah, like, most of the play that we have was stuff that involved running. We played with sticks. We, you know, sometimes I took a tumble and, you know, I came home injured. But unless it was something that required hospital, and I never did, it's just like, well, boys will be boys. Oh, my God. Oh, the nightmare. The American nightmare. The saying. The thing that pisses off Gillette advertisement team. But anyway, right, so... no mention of, heck, kids have entertained themselves forever. Send them outside and they'll come up with something to do. Give them a flip phone or a walkie-talkie if you're worried. We have disappeared a normal childhood incomplete with adventures and misadventures, and everything is now replaced with screen time experts. So no wonder kids are on phones. That's the only place we let them play and wander without us. No kids will get off phones if the only alternative is intensive parent-led adult-supervised activities. And this is true because I remember when I was a kid, right, and we were playing with in the back of the apartment that I lived in, and we were playing soccer and other activities. Every single time a parent came there, it was like the killjoy. It was like the Trust and Safety Council coming in, and it was like so not cool. You know, it ruins the fun. It sounds like you're criticizing the American Midwest, where people live on land for generations and look at travelers with shock. Basically small rural villages. You don't want children there? I don't know if I'm criticizing the American Midwest. I think like in the rural places, you don't have this issue. I don't think like people in the rural countries are helicopter parenting and they require a team of experts to raise their kids. I'm triggering Katis. I'm sorry, Katis. 7 to 8 hours of school plus 3 or 4 hours of homework sure was great. Oh my fucking God. Yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah, I actually had this conversation with my mom, and I told my mom, it's like, I'm sorry, but I work harder than you. Because my mom was always complaining. It's like, oh, work is hard. And I'm like, no, I work harder than you. And she was like, what do you mean? It's like, well, let's look. 8 hours at school, right? And I was studying like difficult shit. I was studying organic chemistry. I was studying quantum physics. Obviously, I didn't do like the quantum physics at the university level, but like the introduction in it and like the knowing how to solve a couple of problems using quantum physics. Well, horrible. So I was doing all this shit at school, right? And math with complex numbers. Oh my fucking god. Anyway, right? Trigonometry. And then you go home and like 4 extra hours of homework. Sometimes even 5 hours of homework. Like that's like 13 hours and it's work, you know? And I like the thing that my mom did is like you go to work, you do your job, and then you come home, you know, like and it's kind of like you know the works. It's kind of like a loop. You got like a lot of muscle memory to do it. I had to study. I had to memorize shit. I had to like use math and logic in order to deduce physics. And it's like, come on. It's like, what happened with my childhood, you know? But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It did train me for university. I don't think like without it, I wouldn't have been able to do university the way I did. American Outlier says, you're right. I remember when my mom married my stepdad and he lived in Milwaukee. When my mom took me up there, I wanted to go outside and play, and she said no. Why? Because there's a chance I would get shot. Yeah, no, your mom was smart. I gotta say, you know, like the idea of go play outside. Well, depends where you're at. If you're at Martha's Vineyard, then yeah, you should play outside. Like these idiots on Twitter, oh, go touch grass, go touch grass. If you're in Chicago, that's a death threat. That's a death threat. Like, I would actually report these people that tell you to touch grass if you live in Chicago because they want you to get killed. You're not supposed to go out and touch grass. Same if you're in the UK. If you're in the UK and you're in Birmingham or something like that, well, I wouldn't take that as a kind and peaceful suggestion. I would take it as a death threat. If you can't find grass, no, the problem isn't finding the grass. Like, you can't find the grass. Well, the question is, like, which is faster? Can you find the grass, or can the criminals find you before you find the grass? Yeah, no, like, there are certain places in Europe and certain places in the United States. Usually, like, the more woke the politicians, the more dangerous the environment. You know, the higher the ESG score, the higher the mortality rate. And I would definitely not encourage children to go play outside in Birmingham. Holy shit. Fucking Birmingham. Oh, Dios mío. Even in safe areas, though, there's nobody outside for kids to play with. Well, most kids, like, probably, like, most parents know where kids gather, right? So, like, there are parks, there are malls. You can find places where you can get your kids to play with other kids. I don't think that's an issue. Especially in Baltimore after 5 p.m. But why do criminals, like, go out after 5 p.m.? Is there, like, a curfew or something? Because I never understood it's, like, crime happens at night. Like, no, when I lived... Because when I was a kid, there was a high crime rate. And crime happened at any hour of the day. Like this idea, oh my god, in broad daylight. Well, what the fuck do you want to do? Like, it was actually more safe at night. Like, if you went out at 2 a.m., it was actually safer. Because guess what? Criminals sleep as well. So I never understood, like, the idea, oh, well, before 5 p.m., after 5 p.m. No, like, most of the time, the crime rate happened during the day. During the night, the criminals were in bed. So... Yes, Noah, what is it? Are you gonna raise your child religious? Asks, I can't pronounce that. But the guy with the My Hero Academia avatar. Why didn't you pick one of the girls? Why did you pick... I remember you saying in the past video, don't fall for the Protestant evangelicals, though. Well, my wife is religious, right? So her family is from a rural area. They're very religious people. And it's not okay for me to impose my atheism upon the kid. I will definitely do my best in order to educate the kid and talk to him about religion and the philosophy of religion and so on and so forth. But I'm not going to impose anything upon him. Like if my kid wants to be evangelical, sure. If he wants to be an Orthodox, that's great. Up to him. The freaks come out of night. The freaks come out of night. Yeah, no, that's outdated. 5 p.m. is when workday ends and people go back to homes. Yeah, but the criminals don't have work. If they had work, they wouldn't be criminals. So no, they don't care. Like, the criminals are out nonstop. Ever since they made the butch women female characters in video games, the criminals don't play video games either. Because at least you would hope that they would be addicted to video games. Maybe when Stellar Blade comes out, it's going to be safe to walk in Chicago for a little bit. Like if you have like a good video game coming out, like maybe for the next couple of weeks or so, it's safe to go outside. But when the criminals finish the video game and they go back outside, then it's dangerous again. Did you catch the 2000 Duel Masters trend? You are probably too old, but you could literally just talk to a random kid and challenge them like in Yu-Gi-Oh! No, I did not catch that, but I remember the Pokemon Go trend. Like, that was quite recent, and you would see all the kids with the phone devices. And I was playing Pokemon Go as well at the time, and this kid comes up to me and wants to challenge me, and I was looking around, it's like, holy shit, if I play with him, I look like a pedophile, but god damn it, I don't want to miss the opportunity. And I did battle, and the kid whooped my ass. But it was kind of difficult, I gotta say, from a social perspective, right? Like, you're a grown-ass man, and you're walking with your phone, playing Pokemon Go, and this kid, I think he was like 6, maybe 7, comes up with his own phone, and he wanted to do the duel. He asked me like Team Blue, and I'm like, this is a difficult thing. It's a difficult situation that I've been put in. No, I did not have a dance style. No. But the thing with the Pokemon Go was that people started cheating, and that's when I stopped playing. Because the game was great, but you could cheat by changing the location of your phone. And then you could just get rare Pokemons by actually pretending to be someplace you're not. And another thing that you could do, and this is why all the kids couldn't beat me at Pokemon, is that you could, like one of the things that the game encouraged was for you to walk around to hatch an egg, right? So like you'd get a Pokemon egg, and if you walked around, then the egg would get closer to hatch. But if you got in a car and drove, then the egg would hatch quite fast. Kids don't have cars. They don't. And, well, sucks to be them. American Outlier V, I think what he is saying is that when people are getting off of work, criminals are catching them. And their way to rob them. No. Like, first of all, people have credit cards now. So, even if you're getting caught, it doesn't fucking matter. But secondly, like, criminals hang out all the time. That's what I'm saying, right? Like, sure, people get off work at around 5. But most people drive, right? So, like, they're parking their car in front of their apartment. No, like the thing with criminals is that they just hang around, the thugs. They just hang around. They don't do much. They don't have jobs. So they're available 24/7. Before and after 5 p.m. But they go to bed at around 11. All the other kids wanted shiny Pokemons. Jesus, no, good God. Why would you want that to be fit upon a child? Stop letting children oppress and abuse you. Look, man, he had rare Pokemons, okay? And I wanted to fight him. I wanted to... Can you imagine, though? I was so fucking tempted when Pokemon Go was a thing to actually go in a park and play with the kids. It's like... I'm pretty sure like other people experience my problem as well. It's like, look, none of the people my age play Pokemon Go, but all these kids are playing, and I'm like, oh shit. Like, imagine you got like this 35-year-old guy in the park with other 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds surrounding him like he's Jesus, saying, "Let the children come to me." It's like kind of like that. When the kids bring their Pokemon to me. I did feel like, well, I managed to have self control, but like there was a guy that actually did get arrested in the UK. I remember reading it in the papers at the time. Like there was this guy playing Pokemon Go, and he got reported by Karens because he was hanging around kids. And the cops catch him, and he was actually just like, no, he genuinely wanted to play Pokemon Go with the kids. I'm really glad they didn't make any other games like that. That was the only game where you got like, what did they call it? Augmented reality? Yeah, augmented reality. Ah, shit. The thing was like, if Pokemon Go actually caught on, like I can imagine, like someone just hiding in a bush or in a cardboard box in a park with kids, and it's like, look, they can't know I'm here, alright? Just whip out your smartphone. Whip up your smartphone and let's do. They made Monster Hunter like that, and it died fast too. I don't know why it died. But, like, again, the reason I stopped playing Pokemon Go was simply because of the cheating. It pissed me off, like, this 5-year-old had all these rare Pokemon. There was no fucking way. It's just like he used the ability to change your phone location to another place where you... And the phone would think that you're actually there. So you could just get whatever Pokemons you wanted. Like, there were Pokemons that had appeared only in Tokyo. And you would change your phone thing, and it's like, oh, you're in Tokyo now, so... Robert Plus says, don't you think the U.S. school system getting worse on purpose to weaken the future nation and depend on daddy government? Okay, I don't think that it's like a conspiracy theory, right? I don't think like rich people and politicians get together and they're saying this is the plan. What I think is that you have incentives, right? So like the incentives are for politicians to show that, oh, look, black people in my area are now performing very well academically. And the teachers are like, well, under me, students are performing very well. And if you lower the grading system, if you make it so that people who get like anything above 20% is a D, well, all of a sudden a lot of people graduate, right? So it looks very good on paper. The Nazis did the same. The Nazis lowered unemployment massively. And if you actually look how they did it, you notice that they only did it through the paperwork. They simply removed women from the unemployment charts, right? So like before they got in, women were counted as people that were unemployed. And after the Nazis got into government, by making new charts and removing women, all of a sudden unemployment plummeted. And it's like, well, you didn't change anything. You didn't necessarily make new jobs. It's just all the while women were considered employed now. Hi V, hope you're well. American Outlier, why are you in the hallucinator's house? What are you doing there? Still mourning the death of the new D&D campaign. The new D&D campaign is not dead. We actually took an episode where we had a talk and we worked things out, hopefully. And we'll see how it goes. It's very difficult for me and Rax to get along. I don't think we work well in the same party. But anyway, right, so regarding kids, why don't people want to have children? There's many reasons for it. But I think like the two main reasons have to do with government. And the second reason has to do with people being educated. The government thing is very simple. During the time of my grandma and probably yours, people realize that when you're young, you depend on your parents, right? So like when you're young, you can't go to work, you can't make money, and you rely on mommy and daddy in order to feed you. And then you grow into an adult and you work, and then you grow old and you rely on your children. So when you're old, you need your kids to take care of you. If you don't have kids, then you end up on the streets. People don't want to end up on the street, so they need to have kids. Nowadays, the government takes care of you. The welfare. Oh, you're old? Here's pension. BlackRock. BlackRock cares of you. And this is like one of the biggest demotivational factors. Like, people aren't worried, like, what are they going to do when they're old? Because they're like, oh, well, I'm going to be in a retirement home. I got a pension plan. I got all these things worked out. So they're relying on the government. Not a good idea, because technically the government doesn't produce money. It's other people's children that produce money. And if other people don't have kids either because they have the same plan as you, it's going to be rough. It's going to be very difficult. And another thing is that the government doesn't give you warmth. Institutions don't give you warmth. When I went into the hospital in Romania, I met a lot of old people. And most of them were suffering from depression. Now, in Romania, people did have kids. But the problem is most kids left Romania for greener pastures. They went to France, Italy, Spain, because the European Union allows travel. And this was a common theme with almost all the old people that were depressed. And that was the fact that they were very upset celebrating Christmas alone. I imagine in America it's celebrating Thanksgiving alone. Man, it must hurt. It must really hurt. Like, a lot of people say, well, I like some me time. Yeah, but when you're old and you don't have anyone to visit, you don't have anyone to call, you're alone. Jesus. I think like this depression is best described in the movie Requiem for a Dream. Even though like the old lady did have like one son, he wasn't interested in spending time with her, and you get to see just how bad it is to be an elderly woman alone. Especially like if you're an elderly woman, when you're young, you got big fat tits and everyone likes you, and the OnlyFans is the rave, and you're in the center of attention, and you know what you lost. Like you are aware of the things that you're not going to get back. It probably hurts. The eccentric Ripper says that last year was probably his first Christmas alone. Yeah, it's hard. And the thing is, like, most people don't realize this when they're young, right? So, like, having a kid is a sacrifice, but at least you're not going to be alone when you're an old person, And relying on the government, I don't think is the solution. Now, the other thing is education. And education, believe it or not, is actually a bad thing. Now, you look at the rural area, and people have like 8, 9 kids. They get them to work on a farm. They don't wonder, oh my god, my screen time. No, like you go work on the tractor, you go work on the farm, you got like 7 siblings, go take care of them. Meanwhile, in the city, people are, oh, I don't have money to raise a child. I don't have money. And I'm like, how the fuck do people in the third world raise 14 kids? How the fuck did people in the medieval time raise kids? How did my grandma raise kids? I'm much more rich than my grandma was. How the fuck can I afford it, right? But even then, it's not just like you don't have money. But when you look at the way things are supposed to happen, again, like back then, if you were a kid, you could get some jobs. You could be on a bicycle throwing newspapers to people. You could mow someone's lawn. Now immigrants do all of that shit. But you can't really get a job until you finish university. And it's also this stigma, this disgust about being a plumber or being a trucker. Like I told my wife, like my kid is going to have 2 options. Either he goes to med school or he actually learns a trade. There's no, oh, I want to learn the LGBTs at the gender studies. No, you do that with your own cash, not with mine. Because you're going to starve to death. I'm not going to raise a parasite. You need to go out, when you have your own money. Like, after you become doctor or trucker, can be a trucker, that's fine. You love the working class so much, go fucking join it. You love marginalized communities a lot. Go become one. That's fine. I'm not against it. I will love you regardless. But once you have your own money, go become a lesbian dancing master. That's okay. Go to gender studies with your money, yours, not mine. The thing is, due to the extreme education, everyone is to get a university degree. Everyone has to get it. There is a shortage in people that can actually work stuff. There is a shortage in construction workers. There's a shortage in truckers. There's a shortage in plumbers, electricians. Meanwhile, there's so many lawyers. Like, my country churns around 5,000 lawyers a year. Like, how do they get integrated into the... They don't. During Splatoon 3 Frosty Fest, the topic was, who do you spend the holidays with? Family, friends, or alone? Team alone won every criteria. Jesus. Did I become a doctor? Yes, I did become a doctor. No, the thing with like being a doctor in Romania is that once you finish the university, you get to become a resident. So it's like you get your residency exam, and then the government employs you automatically. So you don't actually have to look for a job, right? So you're guaranteed to be paid. And if you're guaranteed to be paid, well, then why not become a doctor? Like you're going to be paid for 6 years, and after that you can take another exam and you get another 6 years. Like, at least you know for sure you're employed. Meanwhile, if you go to university to study IT, you learn to code. It's like, motherfucker, learn to code in your free time. What the fuck are you doing? You learn to code in your free time, and people that hire you, they hire you if you know to code or not. They don't give a shit if you worked at a university. At least in America, says B. Crementes, and thank you for the donation. There are too many fees, fines, and taxes. Every chance they get, you get taxed. I don't think that's an American thing. I think that's a first world country thing. Like, Romania, they tax you for breathing. In Canada, they're trying to tax people for rainwater. Like, no, I don't think it's an American thing. People who don't know how to budget to struggle with the idea of paying for kids, it's hard. No, I think like people think too much. People that don't think too much just do it. And there have been many people that just had kids, period. No thinking about it, just had them. Which department did you like the most in your circulation? Like, what do you mean? Like in medicine? I like gastroenterology, because you didn't have to rely on investigations that were indirect. Like, everything was, you had the colonoscopy, you see exactly what's going inside there. Same with the endoscopy, like you actually get to see what's in the stomach. Yeah, gastroenterology was my favorite. Most of the things were logical as well. I didn't like any type of surgery, though. It looked a little bit too complex. American Outlier. Jesus, you don't have to give me so much cash. Holy fucking shit. Funny story. Yesterday, I just got back from the gym. And a DoorDasher was looking for an apartment number. I was telling him where the apartment was, and then whipped out his phone and asked Google to translate. Imagine my shock and frustration. LOL. The thing that Democrats do, which is probably the most harmful stuff that can ever do, is to encourage people not to learn English, right? America was created by different people, predominantly the UK, but you had French over there, right? You had people that were of German descent, like during the Great Depression, a lot of German workers came there. You had American Indians, right? And the whole thing was like, you can be a citizen, but learn fucking English. Like, everyone gets together, different cultures, different way of life, but we need a common denominator. If you look at the story in the Bible, right, like the Tower of Babel, what does God do? Like, how does God fuck with the people there? Makes them speak different languages. Like, if you go into a country, if you go to Japan right now or Saudi Arabia and you don't speak the language, you are at a handicap. You are at a major disadvantage. The Democrats want people to be at that major disadvantage. They encourage it. They love it. In fact, they will say that learning English is racist. Um, I'm not thrilled with using the translator app for interacting with the immigrants. Anyone who wants to fly the flag is my people. I mean, it's the bare minimum. Like learning English, not to mention, helps you in a lot of things. It helps you navigate the internet. It helps you with entertainment and stuff. It's not that fucking hard. Like the only way that you go to another country and you live there for 3 years without learning the language is if you go out of your way in order to make that happen. Like my cousin, she went to France, learned French in a couple of months. I mean, it's not that difficult to learn a new language. It's so triggering for me as a European. Like most Europeans know at least 3 languages. All Europeans. Like the bare minimum. You can come to Romania. I'm not kidding. You can come to Romania. Go in a sewer. And you can find homeless people in the sewer because it's warm. They will speak fucking English. It's not difficult to learn it. It's not like to learn English is almost like it's something superhuman. It's a level of difficulty that's unknown to man. And the thing is, English isn't that fucking difficult to learn. Chinese is like, holy shit. Like, okay, if you learn Chinese, you gotta learn a new alphabet. The way they speak is so fucking bizarre. Like their grammar is completely different and alien than all of our languages. Basically, the same word that you say in different intonations can mean different things. Like, I got a lot of respect for the people that learn Mandarin. Thank you so much for being a member. The Pozole is people. European languages are all cousins. Kind of, but like, look, it is difficult to learn them. Like, trust me, to learn a new, like German. The ones that always put the verb last. It's Germans like Yoda speak. Like, honestly, like, if you're a German and you listen to Yoda from Star Wars, you probably don't understand why people say he speaks funny, because he speaks like a German. Hungarian is very difficult. I tried my hand at learning Mandarin. Easily the hardest language I took a stab at. Yeah, no, it's very fucking difficult. I'm curious, like, if the opposite is true. Like, if a Chinese person learns English, if it's hard for them to do. And not to mention, like, the thing that I don't get about Chinese, now that we're on the subject, right? You look at their alphabet, and my fucking god. Like, when you look at the letters and they're large like this, you can actually notice what the fuck they are. But when you zoom out, right, like when they're like really, really tiny on a newspaper or something, right, like when you're getting at this level, how the fuck can you tell what is written? I mean, I have glasses and I can't barely make a distinction between this and this. I guess, like, the overwhelming shape? How the fuck do they do it? Like, if you're Chinese and you have, like, some eyesight problems, it's going to actually be very difficult for you. Like seriously. I'm not even taking the piss. At some point, these look like square blocks with squiggly shit in it. It's like, I can't make the difference between this and this. Who actually thought, oh, you know what's a good idea? Let's make vowels as letters or words as letters rather than just... the communists invented simplified Chinese because they thought it was too complex. Oh my god, don't get me started with the Japanese. They got like 3 different kanjis, but they actually have a history. Because I was wondering, why is it that the Japanese have 3 alphabets? Like, what's the deal with that? And apparently, it's very simple. They have like the original alphabet that everyone used, like the common one. But then the monks had their own alphabet for some reason. And the women were barred from using the alphabets. So what women did is they invented their own language and they invented their own kanjis and they used that. So that's why they have 3. Hirikata fucking kanji. But the thing with the Japanese is that they actually do have more simplified language than the Chinese. Yeah, like the priestly class had their own alphabet. Then it was for the men, and the women had like a different one, so that's why you have like three. To be fair though, if you read a little bit about Japanese history, the most oppressed people, and I swear to God, they were probably the most oppressed. Female lords. It sounds bizarre, right? Like why they weren't allowed to do anything. Like if you're a Japanese woman and you are married to a samurai or something like that, you had people do everything for you. And I'm thinking, like, my fucking God, they were probably bored to tears. Like, they weren't allowed to interact with any other guy. They weren't allowed to do anything. They even had people bathe them. And I'm thinking, like, what exactly were they able to do in life? They weren't allowed to write. They weren't allowed to... It's like, Jesus. Only hiragana and katakana, the kanji, are Japanese versions of Chinese characters. They lifted directly from China. Oh, I see. Dude, I'm at the level, because I work with a lot of Japanese now. I'm at the level where I don't understand the words, but I do know the difference between the Japanese alphabet and the Chinese. And I know the Japanese letter for shiki. Don't ask why I know what the shiki looks like, but I do. That's why the women draw yaoi. Make an heir. Yeah, I guess, man, but like you're not fucking 24/7. It's Dude, imagine life where you're not allowed to do anything. You can't cook, you can't sew, you can't go out. You're just sitting there the entire fucking day. And you know, even making an heir, yeah, sure, but like, what if your husband is gone at war for most of the day? Sorry, for most of the month. You know, he's gone in a military campaign or he's gone around this. No, it's hard. I wonder if Noah knows why. I know what the shiki looks like. Is there anyone that knows what a shiki looks like? Huh? Shiki is the word for lion? Oh, now I know. Shiki looks like a smiley face, though. Like with the hair. Yeah, why do you think they invented the alphabet? No, I know why they invented the alphabet. Like, they were probably bored as fuck. Right. Speaking of Shiki, I need to actually go talk to him. So, I'll probably end it here. I'm not going to be on the Archcast today. I was invited, but I can't make it. I need to go to sleep. And, see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and take care.